Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Tonight is Thursday evening, December 20th, 2018. Tonight's topic, who is for the wall? Budget drama over potential government shutdown. The Congress is debating right now over whether to amend a continuing resolution that would increase funding, or actually add funding for the wall to the tune of $5 billion, and also add some type of disaster relief. And the debate is at a very low level. As you can imagine, when you get some holdover Congress people that really want to go home and don't have the ability to make arguments, and they get the floor for a minute or two, they spout their talking points, drool on the microphone, and then yield back. Not a pleasant sight, but we're going to cover all that in a minute. But first, let us take a look at what's going on in the markets. And, well, we always like to start with gold and silver, so we're going to start there. Then we're going to get to the equity markets, and then we're going to get to the crypto markets, which are doing pretty good, considering. Now, the gold price went up decent amount today, up $16. Now yesterday, and we've talked about this, and we've all noticed this for quite some time, whenever there is news that should, in conventional wisdom, should boost the gold price or the silver price, we generally don't see it that day, we see it the next day. And here it is. Remember yesterday, last night, those of you on the stream, you don't have to go back and listen to it. Take our word for it, we discussed that we were kind of confused why gold and silver went down, because this rate hike was expected, and we thought they actually went forward and said in forward guidance, instead of raising rates 3 times next year, they're going to raise rates maybe only 2 times. Well, that should have been a green light for gold, because obviously if rates are not going to go up as high, that means that it's potential that the real interest rates could remain low, and that's generally good for gold. We saw that today, and also we thought that if equities were going to get crashed, as they were and have been, again, gold, safe haven, you would think money would have flowed into gold yesterday. That's not what happened yesterday. Gold fell along with the market yesterday, and it was strange. But today, the market fell straight down, 464 points at the Dow, down to 22,859. That's down 2%. NASDAQ down 108 points, down to 65.28. That's down 1.63%. And S&P 500 down 1.5%, down 39 points to 24.67. And the dollar index crawling along at 96.38. That's down as well today. So, makes sense. Gold goes higher, up 1.35%, breaching that $1,250 mark, which we did not breach yesterday. We had come close to it a few trading sessions back, and then fell back to $1,238. And let's take a look at silver. This is a nice setup, because if you look at silver, you'll see exactly what I think should happen, what you'd want to happen, not in the silver pumper, game over, game changer, unsustainable, silver is rarer than gold nonsense, but in the historical way in which gold and silver rise is gold leads, silver follows, but not as much. That's exactly what you had today. Silver went up, but not as much as gold. That's fine. You want gold to establish the fact that the safe haven bid is there. Silver is not the safe haven bid. Silver is the default safe haven bid when gold gets too expensive. Gold is not too expensive right now. Gold is cheap. Silver is even cheaper. Silver is not going to move until gold says, yep, we're really moving here. Silver, go ahead, because you people think gold's too expensive now. So silver went up, but not as much as gold, up 16 cents, a nice move, up 1.09%. Very important. It's a nice setup. Again, whether this is a relief rally or a belief rally, we don't know, but it's doing the right thing if you want to see a bull market. And if we're going to have this sell-off in stocks and rotation into gold and silver. This is exactly how it should happen. This is the early stage of how it happens. This isn't a pump. This is analysis. We see all the others, game over, unsustainable. Speaking of unsustainable, let's take a look at the unsustainable gold-silver ratio. Supposed to be 16-to-1 or 9-to-1 or 1-to-1. Wrong goes star. It went up again today, just a little bit, which is fine. Again, the gold-silver ratio is meaningless unless it lowers as a result of higher silver and gold prices. I mean, you can get a lower gold-silver ratio. You know, silver can go down to $5 and gold can fall down too. But what you want to see is rising gold prices first, and then really high gold prices, and then that spurt like we've seen historically in the gold, the silver price that happens every 20 or 30 years. All right, now cryptocurrencies. Again, you have to ask the question, is this a belief rally or a relief rally? I don't think you got believers yet, but this is a big bounce off the bottom. Bitcoin Cash up 50% today to 197. Bitcoin itself at 4,052. First time it's been over $4,000 for a couple of weeks. It's up 9%. Ethereum up 12.5% to $112. I mean, these things move fast. Litecoin at $32, up 10%, and Ethereum Classic at $467. So big day today for alternative assets. Now, there is a split in the circuits. There is a difference between people who buy gold and Bitcoin and Litecoin and silver, but there is some crossover in the alternative people that are anti-Fed. Some people think that Bitcoin and Litecoin are solid money or sound money. I don't happen to think that, but there is some crossover between people who are in favor of non-government money and gold and silver and Bitcoin and Litecoin and other cryptocurrencies clearly fit that bill. Okay, so let's see what's going on in the crypto space. And one of the things I'm noticing are Bitcoin ATMs, and some of you may have taken our poll. Bitcoin ATMs right now, let me show you something here. They're on the march. They're on the rise. We are getting more and more Bitcoin ATMs worldwide. We're like 4,055. You can check that out on a site called Coin Radar. And in the USA, there's 2,900. Now, at some point, I would imagine you're going to have more Bitcoin, Litecoin ATMs than you have payphones. I mean, they're on the way out, and these things are definitely on the way up. But interesting, we also have lotto vending machines. And I looked up on Statistica the amount of money that people blow on lottery tickets. And the reason people blow money on lottery tickets is they can. You just go into your supermarket or deli or whatever it is, package store. You throw over a couple of dollars. You either fill out the forms or you get the scratch-offs. $80 billion in 2016. That's a lot of money just thrown away. And think about it. That actually is in addition to what people pay for taxes, because supposedly that money goes into some education fund. And they probably blow it on game changer erasers and Smaulgld pencils, but I don't know what they spend it on. It supposedly supplements the budget. But the point being is, America and most nations are full of degenerate gamblers. I mean, that's a fact. Look at Las Vegas. Look at Atlantic City. Atlantic City. People will go to these places. If the casino is open, there'll be people in there pouring money into the slots, playing blackjack, playing whatever they play, craps, rolling the dice. These Bitcoin ATMs, as far as I can tell, you put money in them, you probably got better odds of the coin that you buy than you put on your cell phone and going up than you have winning a lottery ticket, and you got a better chance of it not going to zero. I mean, at least you get to play the time period, right? I mean, you buy a lottery ticket, it's over. You scratch it off. You win, you win. You lose, you lose. It's not if you win, you win. If you lose, you still win. No, you lose. That ticket's useless. You buy a Bitcoin or a Litecoin for $20 in one of those machines. You wait a week, it could be $15. You wait a week, it could be $25. I mean, who knows? But so I wouldn't imagine if people are willing to throw money at gambling in Lotto that these Bitcoin ATMs are probably pretty popular. At least in terms, that's why they keep getting, we see more and more of them popping up. Now, let's take a look at, let me show you what one of those things look like. The Bitcoin ATM here. I mean, they look basically like a, I don't know, like an ATM. You touch the screen, you tell the machine how much you want to buy or what you want to buy. You hold up your QR, you open up your wallet, you hold up your QR code, you stick your money in the slot, and it sends you the Bitcoin. And bingo, bango, you're done, and you've got your Bitcoin or Litecoin in your wallet on your phone. Now, let's take a look at the polls of what people are saying, because I did the poll on Twitter, and I did the poll on with the Game Changers on YouTube. Let's take a look first at what the Bitcoin Twitter poll looked like. All right. So the question is, you got $20. You got $20 burning a hole in your pocket. You don't need it to pay bills. You're up to date on your alimony payments, whatever it is. You're up to date on your rent payment, your mortgage payment, your car payment. This is $20 that you're blessed to have. The convenience store you're in has a Bitcoin Litecoin ATM and a Lotto vending machine. And you are feeling lucky, punk. You put the $20 bill where? Well, 64% of people on Twitter's, Smaulgld's Twitter feed, they toss it into the Bitcoin Litecoin ATM. 64%. 11%, 1 out of 10 thought, might as well throw it, better off throwing it into the Lotto machine, and 25% did the prudent thing and said, penny saved is a penny earned, $20 is $20, it's going right back into my pocket, and I've saved it, and I'll use it maybe to buy a Smaulgld mug. Well, that is what was said on, or that's how it fell out on Twitter. Let's see what the Smaulgld Game Changers on YouTube said. Now, you can probably go over and check it, but I'm going to show it to you. Let's see. Number 2. Number 3. Is that the one? No. We got to make sure we get the right one. Oh, that's not the one either. Game Changers. All right. Here we go. Same question. You got $20. You don't need it to pay bills. You're in a convenience store. There's a Bitcoin ATM, Litecoin ATM, and a Lotto vending machine. You are feeling lucky. Where do you put your $20 bill? Well, we've got a very prudent crowd here. Basically, only one person said they toss it in the vending machine. We have such a prudent crowd that nearly 60% said they just saved the money, even though they don't necessarily need the money. But penny saved is a penny earned, $20 is $20. But 40% thought that they would put that into the Bitcoin Litecoin ATM. Now, from this, I can deduce, and others may deduce differently. The more you have these machines, the more people will throw money into them. Why? We know they throw money into the Lotto vending machines. But it looks like more people would rather throw money at something that has a temporal chance of winning. Because, as I said, instant gratification, you buy a lottery ticket. The machines don't give you lottery tickets where you can fill out the numbers and wait until the drawing. But the Lotto tickets that you have in the machine, you either win, you lose, you lose. And it's over. You buy a Bitcoin or a Litecoin in the machine, you could win immediately in a week or two, or you could lose. But you would always have that ticket. So in a sense, I actually think, just like I have different views on demand for gold and silver, and those views are actually borne out by statistics, meaning the main reason that people buy gold in the world, not the stackers and the people on the YouTube channels, is for jewelry and for silverware, both gold and silver, or for industry. They don't buy it to stack for the collapse. Well, it may be that a good portion of demand for, and I don't know if this is true, and it certainly isn't because there's not that many of these Bitcoin ATMs, but they're really increasing in number. Maybe people just buying them on a lark like they buy lotto tickets. You just go into your store, you buy groceries every month or so, you look around, you dig into your pockets and you realize you got an extra 20 and you throw it into the machine and you get yourself a portion of a Bitcoin or a whole Litecoin, whatever they're worth at the time. That could be a big deal for, quote, adoption in a very unlikely way, people buying them. And then, you've got this Bitcoin or your Litecoin, it's in your wallet and you haven't won anything. 2 months from now, 6 months from now, you still have it. It hasn't gone up, it hasn't gone down, maybe it has. Then you'll spend it. And you're going to find a place to spend it. Just like people will travel. I hear people do this. I've never done it. They'll drive 30 miles out of their way to go get a few extra cents cheaper on gas. Well, companies that'll advertise that they sell pizza for Litecoin or Bitcoin, you'll drive there if you happen to have one stuck on your wallet that you bought 3 months ago. All right, well, anyway, let me know what you think. I think that I'm just trying to look at this as catching maybe a wave here with these ATMs, and maybe they are game changers. And there's now over 4,000 of these things all over the world, and nearly 3,000 of them in United States. All right, now the other thing I'm starting to notice is the media coming back to the pump. I mean, they just follow the direction of the price. Look at this. This is the Independent UK, very large paper. And they're saying here, tide turning for Bitcoin. Yeah, okay. I mean, who knows if it is or not, but the point is, you'll see, I think, going into 2019, this whole new narrative about institutions and backed and all these Fidelity and big crypto platforms. And it's a big story, and they love a big story. If the story is these things are coming back from the dead like Lazarus, then they're going to be all over it. Just, again, none of what I'm saying is investment advice. These are ramblings based on my observations. Don't go out and buy a bunch of cryptocurrencies. You could lose all your money. Don't go sticking all your money into a Bitcoin ATM just because you heard me talking about them. These are observations. These are not recommendations. All right, let's see what else we got before we get to the walls. A couple of other things of interest today. I saw this. Well, let's stick on the cryptos before we move on. This is file this one under irony. This company Nordea, it's a bank, and it's in Scandinavia. I don't know if it's in Sweden or. I think people go, well, I don't know if it's in Switzerland or Sweden. There's a big difference between the two, but never mind. Scandinavia consists of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and I would say Denmark. But this bank, I don't know if it might be in Sweden. I think it is Swedish. And they were implicated in a multi-million-dollar money laundering scandal. Well, that's no surprise. Banks are always implicated in money laundering scandals. Look at HSBC, UBS. They're all involved in that kind of stuff. But interestingly enough, I remember this company, it was about maybe a year ago. They put out a memo to all of their employees, 32,000 of them. They're saying basically, we're not allowed to buy the Bitcoin because the Bitcoin could be used for money laundering, so we don't want our employees to have the Bitcoin in their wallets. Okay, well, wonderful. Then they get accused, implicated in money laundering. So leave the washing to us. Nordea in money laundering scandal after calling Bitcoin high risk for money laundering. Well, could money launder with cash just as well, a kroner, whatever they have up there in Sverige. All right, let's move on. This one is interesting. A blast from the past here. John McCain. Now, I knew this already. I don't know why this is breaking news, but McCain we knew was involved in the dossier, but apparently he gave the dossier, or had one of his associates. He hated Trump, and Trump, remember what Trump said about him. I don't like my heroes captured. And gave the Steele dossier to BuzzFeed. That always helps the Democrats to say, well, Republicans are against Trump too. Okay. Now, One other thing on all this Trump stuff before we get into two other things before we get into the wall stuff is Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker was cleared to oversee the Trump-Russia investigation. They were trying to say that he had some type of ethics issue. The Department of Justice cleared him. It's kind of irrelevant because he's not going to be there much longer. I mean, he's going to oversee this. The real key, though, is I suppose that it keeps Rosenstein out of the loop, which is might be important if Rosenstein needs to be in the loop. Rosenstein is not overseeing this Mueller investigation. Whitaker is, and of course, when the new Attorney General, who has been proposed, Bill Barr, when he gets confirmed by the Senate, unless something comes up, he'll be overseeing Mueller, Rosenstein. If Mueller and Rosenstein haven't already, or Mueller hasn't closed down the investigation by then. All right, so that was one of the things. Now, the other thing which is interesting, because now they've cleared Whitaker, you know there's going to be some type of battle as to whether Bill Barr should be appointed. And Bill Barr already has been appointed as an Attorney General. I think it was a very smart move for Trump to pick George Herbert Walker Bush's former Attorney General, because if he was approved then, there's really no reason why he shouldn't be approved now, especially after all of the plaudits that George Herbert Walker Bush, like McCain, got after he died from the mainstream media. So it'd be very hard to attack this guy. But of course, they will attack him. And the line of attack now is there's a memo that has surfaced from Barr. He wrote to Rosenstein about the Mueller obstruction theory. And he's absolutely right. I mean, I'm astonished at some of the nonsense that we see judges say, like Sullivan the other day with Flynn, telling Flynn that he could be up for treason, that he's betrayed the country when he had the facts wrong, and that's not his job. Even the Mueller team wasn't accusing him of treason. But putting that aside, the idea that they were investigating Trump for Russia collusion, that's a fact pattern. You know that whether that's a setup or not, that's not what we're going to talk about. But the idea that when he fired Comey, that somehow that is obstruction of justice is absolutely ridiculous. You shouldn't even be thinking that, because, as this memo says, as Barr wrote, but of course they're not going to look at the substance of what Barr wrote. They're going to say Barr he's already biased against Mueller, so we can't have him in there. Well, yeah, he should be biased if there's a bogus charge or a bogus legal concept that somehow fulfilling your constitutional duties, which is the right to fire people that you work for, that work for you, is somehow obstruction of justice. If you think that through to its logical conclusion, then the president couldn't fire anybody. Anything he did would be obstruction of justice. And so Bill Barr, I don't know when he had too much time on his hands, he wrote this very nice memo. I read it. I mean, if you're interested in reading legal stuff, it'll be in the show notes tomorrow. But basically, he was saying that a president cannot be accused of obstruction of justice just by doing what he does. Now, he's not saying that a president can obstruct justice. Of course he can. But just by hiring and firing people as a result of his job, it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, he goes on for a few pages to make his point, but he's absolutely right that he says here, it's inconceivable to me that the department could accept Mueller's interpretation. It's untenable as a matter of law and cannot provide a legitimate basis for interrogating the president. It's amazing that he even has to write this, that they're even thinking of saying he's obstructing justice. I mean, there's ways of obstructing justice. I think he lists in here suborning perjury. Yeah, president can obstruct justice. He can destroy evidence. He can do a lot of things. But firing somebody that he has the right to fire, that doesn't make any sense. All right, I think that's it then on the stuff that's going on. The big thing that's going on right now. In fact, they're over at, let's see where they are. They're still yakking. Oh, they're voting right now. Okay, hold on. It looks like right now they're voting on motion to concur the Senate this continuing resolution. The House has 212 Republicans voted in favor, 7 voted against. Now 17 have not voted, and 168 Democrats, of course, voted against this, and 28 are non-voting. Now I don't know what the rules are, if you need a certain number or you need you need to get, of the votes once you have a quorum, a majority. If that's the case, it looks like they're going to win here, because at least on the House side, because it's 213 yes total, 179 nay, and then 41 non-voting. Now, I don't know if they need to get to a certain number. I think they do. I think they need to get to 2. I'm not sure. We'll come back. I think we got cut off there. Let's see. Yeah, one off there. But we're back. Okay, so what we were doing was I was looking over at the House vote on this continuing resolution, which would keep the government open, and they're voting on whether to include $5 billion for the wall and some additional money for disaster relief, I think for the Florida hurricane. And right now, I don't know when I got cut off, I'll just repeat it. 215 Republicans voted for it, 8 voted against it, 13 are non-voters. Now, I don't know if that's because they've gone home for the holidays. No Democrats have voted for it, 175 have voted against it, and 22 are non-voting. And right now it's 216 to 183 in favor, with 34 non-voting. And again, I don't know if you need a quorum on these kind of things. Once you have it, then it's just a majority vote. But we will see. If they don't get enough votes, then Trump will, whatever, or they just don't pass anything and they try to put back the old bill, then Trump has already said he will veto what they present to him. If they don't present anything to him, then he's obviously, the government will shut down. Okay, we'll come back to that. So let's get into now this the debate and what's been going on. Uh-oh, we got a moron here.
Presenting the distinguished international news commentator and foreign correspondent,
Smaulgld. This has been an extraordinary week in world affairs.
No, I told Hillary Clinton that that's moronic.
All right, well, a lot of moronic stuff going on for sure here with this wall and this budget, and let's have a look at what went on today. All right, let's pull up some of the bits and pieces for you guys to look at while I am telling you. Okay, so this morning, Donald J. Trump, el presidente de los Estados Unidos, the president of the United States, ha dicho que he will not sign any of their legislation, meaning the Democrats. Now, this was in the context this morning that he had seemingly agreed that he was going to allow this CR to go through, but hold your hats, next year when the Democrats are in power, right now this is a lame duck Republican Congress, but when the Democrats get in power, he was saying, I'm not signing any of your legislation, whether it's healthcare, infrastructure, whatever it may be, unless it has perfect border security. Okay, so a lot of people took that to mean that was not that he was going to shut the government down by not signing any legislation for continuing resolution tomorrow night, but that basically he's going to sign something and good luck with whatever you want to do next year when you have the majority. Okay. Now, I read that to be foreshadowing, but I guess I follow this a little closer. So I asked people, and Ann Coulter was trashing him, saying that he hasn't held his promise and so on. And she then puts out this tweet here that only 12 GOP senators voted against releasing dangerous criminals from prison. So they did this bipartisan prison reform bill, which no one really, I mean, it wasn't a campaign issue. People aren't talking about it, but it somehow passed. And it passed with, as I mentioned, bipartisan Republican and senators, Republican and Democrats. And of course, she's against this because she thinks it's letting people out of jail for free. And then she says the only one you should ever donate to, and she lists a bunch of senators. She seems to like this guy Tom Cotton from Arkansas, but she lists Lisa Murkowski and Ben Sasse. Now, Lisa Murkowski and Ben Sasse probably don't fit her definition of a good conservative, but she kind of went overboard and said basically you should only ever think of donating money to them. From what I understand, then, Trump promptly blocked her. I think he was following her on Twitter. I think he only follows like 60 people. She might have been one of them. And then he dumped her. Well, then I asked, oh, there it is. House approves the $5.7 billion for border wall, sending the bill back to the Senate. And the Senate there is like 50-49, and you might have to get Pence involved, but okay. Now, we're going to get into that in a second. I asked early in the morning, will Trump sign the continuing resolution to keep the government open? And at one point, this was 80-20. Everyone thought he would. And I think a lot of people who went back in the feed added their vote yes. But at the time, most people thought he would sign it. And they still, a lot of people here think he will sign it. And the real answer is no, he won't. Because he made it very clear later in the day that he wasn't going to sign anything unless it included border security. So he had done just like what the Fed does. He had forward guidance that he was going to sign it. And everyone was getting all upset and said, oh, he's not holding his promise. You had Ann Coulter. You know, she gets to go on talk shows when she... It's the only way they'll ever invite Ann Coulter onto a show is if she trashes Trump, because they don't like her. They don't want to hear her story. So what she does, I think, to get herself some airtime and get some attention, she trashes the president on border security. Okay, so that was early in the morning, and people thought that Trump was on board with allowing the government to go forward, but that he was going to play hardball next year. Well, he's playing hardball now. And then it was announced during the day that President Trump says he's either getting money for the border or he's shutting the government down. He kind of told Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi that in public on that one meeting they had at the White House, but I guess people thought he had a change of heart, that he caved. He let the Democrats think he caved. They were taking victory laps and so on. And here is Donald Trump announcing that he is, well, I'll let you listen for yourself.
Overfunding border security and the wall, also called, so that I give them a little bit of an out, steel slats.
Steel slats.
Wall necessarily, but it has to be something special to do the job. Steel slats. I've made my position very clear. Any measure that funds the government must include border security. Has to. Not for political purposes, but for our country, for the safety of our community. This is not merely my campaign promise. This is the promise every lawmaker made. It is the solemn promise to protect and defend the United States of America, and it is our sacred obligation. We have no choice.
All right, I got no choice. I got no choice. Bring it over. Anybody remember that from Raging Bull? All right, and then he says this.
National borders. Then we cease to be a nation, and we betray our commitment to the loyal citizens of our great country. I look forward to signing a bill that fulfills our fundamental duty to the American people. It is all about, and I say this in any way they want to hear it, it's all about America first. We have to put our country first. We have to put our people first. And we have to put safety first. So thank you all very much. And we'll be working on that, Mitch and Paul and Kevin and everybody, and we'll see what we can do. But hopefully that'll all come together.
Now, here's my question about all this. This is what I don't understand. Anyone who knows Trump anyone's been in the Congress, anyone's in the Senate knows this is what he wants. He says in front of everybody on national TV with Chucky and with Nancy that he's going to shut the government down if he doesn't get it. And the Republicans, because they controlled the Senate, they controlled the Congress, they approve legislation that does a continuing resolution that doesn't include the border wall. Now, the border wall, it's $5 billion that he wants. Somehow he got $5.7 billion. You're talking about trillions of dollars here. So they're not having a debate over the type of wall or whether the wall is going to actually work or what's this have to do with immigration. None of this. It's just like, oh, Trump wants it. Well, he can't have it. And the Republicans like, yeah, I guess it's probably a good idea. Well, he'll probably just forget about it. Makes no sense. So I asked the question, why didn't the original Republican bill, since they control the Congress and the Senate, have the $5 billion for the wall? And by the way, why didn't it have this disaster relief funding in it either? I mean, they must have spent a lot of time putting everything and the kitchen sink into the budget, and they don't include disaster relief. I'm not advocating for this. I'm not making a political statement about what should be in the budget, but you would think if you are a congressperson and you're making a budget, you would think they would put in stuff like that, disaster relief, and there'd be a debate on the wall. They didn't have one. They just didn't put it in, sent it to the president. They figured, oh, he's just going to sign it. It's just unbelievable how they operate. And now, listen to what Charlie here says. Ryan. Now, Ryan's in charge of supposedly shepherding legislation through the Congress. And like this is some kind of surprise to him. Listen to what he says here after he finds out that Trump isn't going to sign it unless it has, like he doesn't know this, that it doesn't have the border funding in it.
Just had a very long, productive meeting with the president.
Stop. I had a very long, productive meeting with the president. Well, you could have had this weeks ago. You could have said, hey, you know what? I'm against you. I'm not gonna line up the Republicans for you. Everyone hates you. Everyone hates the wall. So go away. But you don't. This was baffling to me that he knows this is going to happen, and now he acts like he's supporting the president because the president has some very valid concerns. No, you don't think that because you put him on the pay no mind list, and you did not try to pass a bill that had border funding in it. Listen to him.
Just had a very long, productive meeting with the president.
No, you didn't. You didn't have a long, productive meeting with the president. He told you he wasn't going to sign what you sent to him.
The president informed us that he will not sign the bill that came over from the Senate last evening.
And you didn't know that?
Because of his legitimate concerns for...
Now they're legitimate concerns. They weren't legitimate when he didn't send them a budget that had it, or a continuing resolution that didn't have in the border security provisions.
Border security. So what we're going to do is go back to the House and work with our members. We want to keep the government open, but we also want to see an agreement that protects the border. We have very serious concerns about securing our border. So
we now have concerns about securing the border. He had no concerns because, in fact, the continuing resolution that they were going to present had no money for the border. Not forget the wall, had no money for additional border security. But now all of a sudden he's got concerns, and he's standing there with this other guy, McCarthy.
The president said he will not sign this bill, so we're going to go back and work on adding border security to this, also keeping the government open because we do want to see an agreement. With that, I'll turn to Majority Leader Carter.
Oh, yeah, well, they're going to listen to the other guy, McCarthy. No, thank you. We're not going to play that. All right. So that's where we are right now, and it looks like the House has passed this thing, and it's going to go over to the Senate. And I would imagine, just my take on all these people, all of them are no one wants to be blamed for any of them. They all talk a good game. They all say they're going to stand up for what's right. We're fighting for you. And at the last minute, they realize they don't want to ever get blamed for anything, even if they can. See, what Trump did, which was very smart. Again, this isn't where I stand on the issue. When Chuck Schumer said to him, well, then it's going to be your fault. And he said, fine, I'll own it. He just took away their argument. They can call it the Trump shutdown night and day, and it's not gonna bother him. He's already said, yeah, okay, it is a Trump shutdown, and the reason it's a Trump shutdown is I want this stupid wall. And he's going to get the wall because of that. Because he's saying, I'm willing to shut the government down over the wall. Full stop, period, end of story, game changer, game over. All right, now what are they going to say? Oh, it's because Trump shut the country down. He's going to say, yeah, I did. Call it a Trump shutdown. It's called Trump shutdown for the wall. Trump shutdown for border security. Are you not for border security? And remember, the interesting thing about border security, there's clips a galore of Chuck Schumer saying not only is he for border security, that he was in favor of calling undocumented immigrants illegal. He said, if you don't want to call them illegal, then you're never going to solve the problem. Call them what they are. They're illegal. Now, all of a sudden, he's Mr. Open Borders. Dianne Feinstein has gone off on how illegal immigrants take funding for schools. They're restrained. You had Bill Clinton. We're going to make sure that anyone comes to this country legally. I mean, he did that. Hillary, and I voted for border security. You have her saying it. Obama, when people come to this country, they've got to come legally. They've got to come legally. They've all said it. And now because Trump wants to do a little border security, they're against it. And it's interesting. They're not arguing for the most part over the merits of border security in the form of a wall. They're actually making it sound like it's anti-American, that somehow anybody who has a problem or not doing well in the world should just be able to come to the United States because that's what the country was founded on, which is not true. All right, I think that's about it for the board. I want to hear what you guys think about this whole border debacle and what's going on over there. Let's see what you guys think. All right. Let's see. I didn't say that. Ann Holloman, first again with a little Christmas cheer. De La Villa's here. Aquaculture is here. They're all here. The game changers are all strolling in. I doubt the king's horses cared one way or the other. Humpty Dumpty. Okay. All right. Yeah, Mathis threw in his resignation letter today. Yeah, it was interesting. His letter said something like, you deserve a Department of Defense or a Defense Secretary that's more in line with the way you think. He's getting rid of Deadwood. Okay. I called the gold and silver will go up due to the rate hike, and it's in the green dollar tumble. Pablo Pena, take a sip. A victory sip from your Smaulgld mug. Good call. Scott Wardell, Mad Dogs with no war in Syria. Maybe soon in Afghanistan. Reminds you of Bing Crosby singing What Do You Do with a General. Yeah, they're like, and Lindsey Graham was out there. We need to be in Syria. He was not happy with Trump's decision to pull out of Syria. And then, of course, Trump went right back at him. He says, seriously, I don't think that Flimsy Graham wants to have more Americans die and to spend more money. But actually, that is what the part of the Republican Party, the neocons, of which there's some Democrats, that is what, I'm saying they want people to die, but they do want military engagement, and they have the mentality that there's things in the world called our interests, even if they're outside of America, and that they must be protected, and that you can't allow someone else to have an interest. All right, metals will pump you. Poppy stuff. Silver always follows gold. Well, not if you listen to the silver pumpers. They'll tell you silver's set to skyrocket once the world realizes that silver is the most valuable thing that's ever been created. Then silver is going to be worth more than gold. It's unbelievable. But I suppose if if you're a hammer salesman, everything looks like a nail, and if you're selling silver, I guess you have to pump it up. Silver is more valuable than gold. Unbelievable. Yes, Ann says gold over 1,400 will be a nice signal. Now, I would imagine you could still, even at 1,400, have a gold-silver ratio exactly where it is, but that would still mean that gold would, let's see, if gold goes to 1,400 and we stay at a 85-to-1 ratio, that would bring silver up to $16.50. That's possible. Silver may not take off at that point, or maybe silver is at 18 if gold is at 1,400. You never know. But it wouldn't be inconceivable that the gold-silver ratio wouldn't start to come down until gold was maybe 1,500. And remember, it may not even get to 14 or 1,500. All right. Lottery is great. How else do the privileged poor pay taxes? That's a good point. All right, Scott Wardell. My wife pays for $80 of those $80 billion each year, even though I explained the math to her. She needs her fantasy, which I thought wasn't me. No way, Jose, or no way, Scott. No, that is probably the worst money. I mean, that's not even investment advice, telling you not to buy lottery tickets, because the odds there, that really is a donation to the general welfare when you buy a lottery ticket, because your chances of winning anything. I've bought them. The worst is when you win, like you put $2 down and you get the free ticket. And what do? You just turn and you get another ticket, and then you lose. So they just gave you a little extra time to think you might have a chance to win. All right, let's see what else we got here. Live free or die. I used to buy that. I used to buy that. Okay. Let's see. Maybe she'd buy a mug. Yes, his and hers. I mean, many people now have purchased the Smaulgld Classic and the Smaulgld Super Classic, which I think is smart. Actually, I have all of them. Of course I do. I have the Classic, the Super Classic. I have the Beer Stein. The only one I don't have is the espresso mug, which is kind of cool. I just haven't gotten around to getting that one. But I have the frosted mug, and I basically got them all. But let's show you Classic mug. I think probably my final shipment before Christmas this morning. So if you ordered, those are out, and I've sent out the your tracking numbers, and you will get those the 22nd, because they're all going to the continental United States. Okay, so there's your Classic, Super Classic, and Classic mug. Many people have both now. I don't know if anyone, I haven't gone through, take a little sorting to see if anyone owns Super Classic, Classic, Beer Stein mug, espresso mug, and Smaulgld glass. All right. Let's see. Lightning Network LTC is toast. I'm not sure about that. You know, I hear, well, if everything works with Bitcoin and the Lightning Network works, then why do you need Bitcoin? That's the Bitcoin maximalist view. Then why do you need Litecoin? I mean, if the dollar works, why do you need a euro? If the euro works and the dollar works, why do you need the Swiss francs? I mean, if Bitcoin is Litecoin is very similar to Bitcoin, and it's a test bed for Bitcoin, it's just a matter of preference. If they both work and they're both about the same speed, I'm not sure. It's not the more the merrier, but it's not like, why wouldn't you have an alternative coin? That's why they're called altcoins. Yes, aquaculture. Yes, you are a very conservative bunch. Most of you stuck the $20 back in your pocket, and you didn't even blow it on a Bitcoin or a Litecoin. Yes. Is the cost 10%? That's a no-go. I don't know. I think probably the machine does take a bit of a premium. So for $20, you're probably not going to get much after you pay the premium. Yeah, the premium on ARMS is high. All right. Aquaculture. Or Lewis probably thinks this crowd is more biased towards PM. Well, yes. Generally people who come to this channel, if they come listening for gold and silver, they get offended because I don't pump gold or silver. If you come listening for cryptocurrencies, you get the same they get the same treatment. I don't pump the cryptocurrencies either. And so I think what happens is I get a self-selected group of people who just want to hear what might be going on, and not a price prediction and not some recommendation. And the channels that have tens of thousands, they're the ones who'll tell you, you got to go buy this tomorrow, or the gold silver ratio is really good now, so you should be buying silver, or you know, this new ICO, you should buy Bconnect, something like that. I don't do that. I tell you what's going on with all of them, and that's not investment advice, and it's not, it's information. Do with it what you want. I just enjoy analyzing what's going on, but the only thing I pump are the mugs. And I think that's why, you know, if you like the mugs and you enjoy the analysis, You get a mug and you won't go broke listening to me. I mean, unless you're not going to go out and buy tons of gold or silver or tons of cryptos. You buy a couple of mugs. What's the worst that can happen? You break one, you order another one. All right. Let's see. Silver is not monetary, says Nicholas Shulton, or a store of value. Read the Bitcoin Standard. I agree. I would like to read the Bitcoin Standard. And I agree, silver is no longer monetary. I call silver, Nicholas, dormant money, meaning it once was money in that it was a medium of exchange. It's very impractical now. No one uses that as a medium of exchange. And gold is a store of value. Silver is not. Silver has been horrendous at holding its value compared to gold. Now, where Bitcoin is, I don't think Bitcoin is a store of value. But I do believe that Bitcoin and Litecoin are superior medium of exchange. Clearly. You can send them anywhere in the world instantaneously, Lightning Network or not. I mean, you can get a good day and you get your transaction confirmed pretty quickly. And like silver, you really can't even transact with somebody in silver in your hometown very easily. Forget if you wanted to buy something in Hong Kong, you're going to have to ship them silver. It's going to take forever. So there's advantages and disadvantages. That's why I'm not pumping either of them. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. The problem is you get people like Bitcoin maximalists. They just think the only thing that's worth anything in the world, the game changer, is Bitcoin. They don't even like altcoins. And you get the same thing with silver people. Gold is useless. Silver is the only thing that's worthwhile. It's rarer than gold. And you get gold people who think silver is just some trash metal that's useless because gold is the gold standard and they have no use for cryptocurrencies. I don't hold any of those maximalist views. I think they all have their place. I think it's rational to say that when people say Bitcoin is digital gold, no, it's just digits. It's not gold. It requires so many inputs. Gold just is. Bitcoin requires electricity. It requires a phone. It requires a wallet. It requires an acting blockchain. It requires miners. It requires so many things for it to work that it's not gold. Gold already is. It doesn't need anything to work. Once it's out of the ground and it's in your hand, it's done. It's an advantage and a disadvantage. Now go ahead and try to transact with gold. So I like to think that they all have their place. They all have their relative values. I don't take this view that Bitcoin über alles or gold only or silver only but it's interesting to hear because when people give you their maximalist arguments or their arguments, you can pick them apart and realize there's some truth. If you really believe in silver, really believe in Bitcoin, or really believe in gold, you're going to extract from those people the most information because they're so into, but they're also blinded by believing only in one asset. All right, the Nordic countries' cashless society. Will Whitaker steal Boris Thunder, says Scott Verdell, or ask Scott Verdell. I don't know. It's cue my mom avers. Nicholas Sheldon, has anybody here read the Bitcoin Standard? Thank you, Nicholas. I'm gonna grab that and have a read of that. I've had that on my list. I just haven't done anything about it. Ann Holloman, no, I am thinking about it, but it was pumped by all the Bitcoin millionaires, and now I'm hesitating. Yeah, I mean, that was my mistake. I like to be objective. One of my problems has been, especially in 2011 and 12, the Bitcoin people went at you with a ferocity, like sending it to me. I don't want it. I said, just go away. And they don't leave you alone, and it's the future, and it's like, it's a bit much when it's just like when you listen to a silver pumper or a gold pumper. It's the same thing. You look at them as if they have three heads, and it's not that what they're saying isn't true. It's that they believe in it so fervently, and you're like, it's Bitcoin, it's gold, it's silver. It's not. I don't know. I just don't get that excited about gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. Then you say, why do you have a channel about them? Because they're interesting, but they don't dominate my thoughts. I like to analyze them. But anyway, I am going to read that book. It'd be very interesting. Poof, and he's gone. No, not me is here. Hello, he's back. I think money management, says Aquaculture, is just a reflection of societal morality as a whole at any given time. Pablo won, but I demand a recount, he says. All right. We'll be able to see the wall from space. I don't know. I know the Great Wall of China you can see from space. Okay. Aqua keeps winning the Cupid doll. Okay. What else do we got here? Scott Wardell, but your question did not say if a wall. I demand a recount and I'm ugly. And the Russians did it. Raging bull market. Bring it over. Hit me in the face. Go ahead, hit me in the face. Hit me with everything you got. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it, Jack. Ain't gonna do it. Alright, I think the wall isn't really for immigrants. Mitchie at high noon tomorrow, says Scott. Will a wall suddenly be in there now? Your question, Mitchie said no can do. Maybe his wife told him what's in and what's out. Who knows? All right, let's see. Ann Holloman, love the accents. De La Ville, the wall was a huge part of Trump's campaign and his base. Trump haters don't want him to have it. Well, that's, again, I'd like to see. I would like to see a debate on it. I would like to see what people actually think about borders, what the right number of immigrants is, where those immigrants can come from, how much do they cost, whether they're a net, what the asylum rules are. I mean, have a full-on discussion about what is sensible, but we're not having any of that. We're just having, it's either open borders or a wall. I mean, that's moronic, really, because there's a lot of stuff in between there. All right, that covers it. Yeah, unbelievable. Wall GoFundMe about to cross $9 million. Now, I think it's foolish to have a GoFundMe for the mall because I don't know if people can raise money and then compel the government to do something. It just seems very strange. And by the way, if they want $5 billion, $9 million isn't going to do it. I mean, it's got to be symbolic because in order for it to be a government action, they would still have to pass legislation that they actually wanted a wall. And as I was just saying, they haven't had that debate. They've just said we're not giving Trump any money for it. Now, some of them say we don't want a wall. It doesn't make sense, but I don't know. I think they're wasting their time trying to raise money for a wall. They should be, if they're for the wall, they should be lobbying for the wall. I mean, the government doesn't have any money. It's totally in debt and owes trillions of dollars. But they're acting as if they have hundreds of billions of dollars to spend for the next couple of months. They can throw $5 billion at the wall if that's what people want. They shouldn't have to go out and raise it in a GoFundMe campaign. Send that money to me. Okay. Some thoughts outside the mainstream narratives, aquaculture, but your guess is as good as mine. They're still talking about removing troops from Afghanistan. Aquaculture. That's why I appreciate you, Lewis. And you as well, aquaculture. Miser. They need to fund the wall for national security. Aquaculture says, I like mug pumping. Mugs are the best, but you know, I haven't pumped the glass as much. And I think that we need to do a little glass pumping right now before I move off of what you're looking at the screen. You got all the ways to donate to Smaulgld, all the ways to, here we go, all the ways to send money to Smaulgld, all the ways to buy. But there you go, glass. Glass is silver to mugs gold. Glasses are good. Maximalists have a ton of Bitcoin. Yeah, and of course, if you have that much Bitcoin, then you want everyone to believe that Bitcoin is the greatest thing and there's no use for any other coin. And if you sell silver, you want to think that silver is the metal and you don't want to hear about copper, gold, or anything else. If you're a gold bug, you don't want to hear about silver. I mean, if you're into altcoins, you think they've got a bigger upside than Bitcoin. But you can learn from everybody, especially those that are so deeply immersed in their asset classes. IOTA is where it's at. Yes, Dogecoin and the other people that are out there all the time. Digibyte. It's faster and better. Fastcoin. There's all these people pumping whatever they're pumping. Crypto's backed by PMs. Yeah, there's those people too. Then there's what are the ones that have gold on the blockchain? 5 billion passed for the House. Yes, on to the Senate, says Joe Dirte. All right. Let's see. All right, I think that's about it for tonight. Oh, we didn't make it. We try to get under an hour, but we never do. You know why I try to get in under an hour is because when people see an hour, when it flies by their screen and they're thinking about whether they're going to watch the video, like I don't have an hour to waste on this, so I'm not gonna watch it. If it's under an hour, they don't feel as intimidated by it. But in any event, I want to thank everyone for joining me this evening. It's always a pleasure reading your comments and having you spend an hour with me. So we will talk to you tomorrow. And if there's any game changers, follow me on Twitter. I try to throw out any breaking news or other thoughts. So we will see you tomorrow.